I wanted to ask first about the negative interest rates in Sweden at the moment with the banks and the push in Sweden to move towards a cashless economy. I was just wondering your thoughts on that, if any.
Well, I'm not a specialist on economy,
No.
so what I can say here is this rather extreme situation.
Yeah.
We had in the 90s, the National Bank tried to solve the situation by having 500% interest. 500%.
Wow.
Yes, it was very tough for economy that night because they changed the whole thing. And now we have the opposite, the negative. And the only problem with that, see, is that young people tend to pay too much for a flat, for a condominium, because they think that they can manage when the interest is so low. But all of a sudden you have much higher interest, and then that they will have to leave their houses the way people did in the States. We saw, when I visited you, we saw these empty houses in Detroit, where people had overstretched themselves to try to get a house of their own, and all of a sudden they couldn't pay any longer. So that's a danger, a great danger just now. And politicians discuss how it should be handled, because there are various ways. You can have a roof on how much you can borrow, or you can say you have to pay mortgages more in a more heavy way than you do, etc. But anyway, they have not yet found a solution.
Have you heard of this concept, and it's put forth by a guy called Max Kaiser, of interest rate apartheid, where you have certain organisations and even individuals who are able to borrow at preferable interest rates, unlimited borrowing, and then others, the larger part of the population of the planet, who are pushed into negative interest rate borrowing, or just simply not able to get to borrow money at all. And in this way you create an interest rate apartheid where you have a horrific inequality, and it widens the wealth gap and so on. Is this something that you see happening?
I haven't seen that.
No?
No.
Another question actually. I think personally it's a wonderful thing to take the time to highlight an individual and their work in the tradition of the Nobel Prize. I have heard of a criticism against the Nobel, which is that it marginalises the many while highlighting the few. And I saw Per Westberg put a response to that criticism in the New York Times. Do you have anything to say on the subject?
No, I don't think. What should be the problem? You have to highlight a few, because geniuses are not that common. And you can't share. I mean, you could give a peace prize for an organization, for instance, with many people, but you can't share a literary prize. You can share it between two, but that's it. So I think, according to my experience, there are 3 good candidates for each prize. I can give you an example. In 1969, there were several very good candidates for the prize. Graham Greene was one. Another was W.H. Auden was there also, and also there was a very good French writer and so on. But the prize was given actually to Beckett, and the 3 others didn't get anything. So the Frenchman, Malraux, had been impossible the years before because he was a minister, and you shouldn't give prizes to politicians. But he was free that year. So there were 3 very good candidates, and the 4th one got it.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
So very often I find that candidates I would like to reward prices are not enough for
Yeah.
the number of prices.
I have to say, I don't envy the job of picking that you have such a myriad of talent there. And yeah, it's a tough
and
job.
you have each year, you have some more than 200 candidates.
Yeah.
Wow. The posters are sent in from all over the world by experts like it could be previous laureates, it could be professors in literature and language, it could be presidents of pen clubs and literary unions and so on, but never critics, never publishers. But the result is you get some couple of thousand proposals, but many are often the same names, so some 200 different names.
Yeah.
And that list should take up all the best writers of the world. And if there's a gap, we fill it in the debate committee. Quite often people forgot a great writer, and then the debate committee adds to the list, supplements it. So I think we have a very good grip on the best writers of the world, much better than in Paris or New York.
Okay, just as long as that's clear.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm quite happy that they didn't want the French or the Americans to give out the Nobel Prize, because that would have been more restricted.
So, but you feel that like a competitive environment is going to bring about, it's going to compel and encourage people to excel, and rather than, because it seems to me that a cooperative environment is more conducive to that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
And you can have, as a matter of degree, an environment which is both competitive and cooperative, you know, to varying degrees, but overall it will have a character, the environment in which poets, writers are creating. And so I wonder if reducing the level of competitiveness and the degree of competition in the environment for people creating their work is going to actually increase the quality.
That's quite possible.
It's possible. Yeah. One more question for you. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time here. There has been talk in recent years of utilising modern technology to create a access abundance for people. So we're talking about basic income, universal income. It's an idea that's been around for a long time. There's this talk of it. In fact, I believe even in Sweden it's been an idea that's on the table, universal income. And in that, on that same level of thinking, there's talk of cybernating resource governance in different countries and around the world. Do you have any feelings on cybernating resource governance and basic income and that type of thing?
Well, I think the spread of income is rather low in Sweden. We have some stinking rich people, of course, but I think the salaries are much pressed down in Sweden. So there is no great difference between let's say a teacher at school and a worker in the industry, or let's say a nurse. So it's rather pressed together. It's not like in the United States at all. And I think that's a fair system. Yeah.
Actually, one more, if I may. Have you heard of the cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, before?
No.
It's a new innovation, but it hasn't come onto your radar.
No,
Bitcoin. Okay.
Have you heard about it? No.
Bitcoin. Interesting. Perhaps you take a look at it, because it's a very